thank you, Ashley and Amelia, for joining me today. I want to start first with Ashley. I know that you're the youngest principal in the Boston public school system. How did you find that out?
Last year, I completed a program at Boston College called the Lynch Leadership Academy, and they prepared me for principalship. And I was blessed enough to land a job at the PA Shaw, where I'm the principal now. And going to like different retreats and just like professional development for the district, I realized just by honestly looking around that I was the youngest one, at least aesthetically. So I kind of did some digging, like asked my boss, and she confirmed that I beat one of my really good friends who's the principal at the Homes by like a month. So I'm barely the youngest. But yes, it was definitely a surprise and like a moment of pride too.
And Amelia, for you, you're a youngin in this interview. How old are you?
7.
How have you been able to keep in touch with your friends during this time?
So there on our computer is a Chrome computer. We have this thing called Gmail, and we use it so we can see each other and play games. And we're working on special projects.
Ashley, Amelia had mentioned the Chromebooks. Is that something that the school had to provide to the students?
Some students already had like access to technology at home, but the goal going into this pandemic, especially with the like evolving nature of it all and the timeline being kind of unclear, was for every student and family to have access to at least one electronic device in their home, as well as Wi-Fi. Some of those came from like individual schools. Like my school gave some out mainly to third graders because we knew for a fact that most of their learning was going to be online. We gave some out to second and first graders as well, but our biggest lens was third grade, just because that's like the big year for our school. But then the district has also been like supplementing what the schools have been doing, and families are able to make requests to get a laptop delivered to their house, or they can pick them up.
For you, being the youngest principal, not even it just being about age, but you taking on a leadership role. You know, you went to the conference and you saw that you were already one of the younger leaders there, but now you're leading through a pandemic. So how has that been for you when you're managing teachers, making sure students have the resources they need?
There are many words that I could use to describe how the experience has been, but 2 really come to mind. To be honest, the first one that I think about is like heartbroken. It is like my heart goes out for third graders who are in their last year at the Shaw and won't be able to like say goodbye in person and have like a formal graduation or moving up ceremony. My heart goes out to families who depend on our school for so much more than just like academic learning, because a lot of that is obviously like stifled right now. My heart goes out to teachers who like miss each other and miss children. And then obviously I feel like I carry all of that like on my shoulders. So I definitely feel heartbroken. And then at the same time, I also feel like really inspired because, you know, the pandemic is impacting everybody, like no matter what race you are, no matter what your social economic status is. However, in communities of color, which is the community that I serve in, the pandemic impacts us differently. You know, like there are already so many like racial and economic gaps. So a disaster like this one is only going to exacerbate those things. So I think thinking about the role that I can play in like reshaping and helping people get closer to stability when this is over is so inspirational. It is obviously like a lot, but it reminds me of like why I wanted to be an educator in the first place. So as tricky as it is, it's both like sad, but there's also like a lot of optimism in it. And I feel like lucky to be able to like figure out how to ensure that some of the gaps that already existed just don't widen to the extent that I can.
Amelia, you mentioned that you've been using Google to keep in touch with your friends, but how has the classroom experience been for you with your Chromebook?
It's okay, but I really wish I'd been there in person instead of staying at home.
Is it hard for you to focus, not even just like attention wise, just being able to like focus on that computer because you're at home versus if you're in a school, you know, you go to school for learning?
It's not that hard, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of easier at school.
What have the classes look like? Are you learning? Are the teachers like teaching you through the laptop?
Yeah, they're teaching us through the laptop. So my teacher usually shares her screens, and we play math games, and she did us a new game where it's like a spell test that we can play while having fun and learning at the same time.
That sounds like an ideal classroom. How many classes do you take a day?
3. I have reading, word study, and math.
And so when you're done with school at home, what do you do to try to still have fun, even though you have to stay home?
Sometimes my mom, usually we go by ingredients, and sometimes we make stuff like we might make cookies after this, and we might play. And my mom I got a new video game, so me and my mom will play that while we eat the cookies.
So I'll definitely be sending you my address so you can send me some of the cookies. I noticed also that you were on a couch and you wanted to do shout outs throughout. Was that specifically for this time right now?
Yeah, so my school is amazing, to be honest. Like, I fell in love. This is only my second year at the school, but I fell in love with the experience I had at the school. So the opportunity to stay for like multiple years is just giving me so much pride and joy. But one thing we're really good at before quarantine and before schools closed was making kids feel like celebrated and loved. And that's something that I'm like particularly passionate about as well. So I partnered with a bunch of different teachers in my building to think about how we can translate that skill and strength of ours to virtual life. And my phenomenal librarian actually recommended that we do something called the Shaw Shout Out Sofa. Happy Friday, PA Shaw scholars and PA Shaw community. It's me, Principal Davis, and I'm sitting on the PA Shaw Shout Out Sofa. As you can see, I'm joined by a lot of you behind me. So since schools have closed, Andrew has been working nonstop. He's moving up levels on a reading game, which means he was already smart before school closed, but now he's like, I want to get smarter. So he's just been moving up levels, and he's really improved his reading through Red Apple Reading. And the goal of that is to just make families and students especially still feel that their work is being acknowledged and celebrated. Because like Amelia said, our students and our teachers, they're doing so much. Like, no, it's not perfect, but like this time isn't perfect. They're doing a lot, and I just want to make sure they realize that it's recognized. So that video kind of came out of the intention of ensuring that kids feel the same love and Shaw spirit that they felt before schools closed, even with schools being closed. So there's another one coming up next week. It'll be a weekly series. Stay tuned.
I would like to nominate Amelia for doing this interview as the next shout out.
Well, I'm going to write that down. Got it. Look for your shout out, Amelia.
What is one of the things that you do miss the most that you can't wait to go back to doing?
So usually I'm a swimmer, and I really wish to go back to swimming, and this is my swim team merch. I really wish I could go back to swimming because I miss my friends in swimming.
What's the name of your swim team? I couldn't see the whole shirt.
Hamilton Dynasty Swim Club.
Pauline Shaw Elementary School representing the principal and of course Amelia. I want to thank you both